The modern analog stick. No modern console game would be without it today. A long history of pads and controllers have come and gone in the pursuit of perfecting a controller with a full range of movement. From the Prisotonic non-centering analog sticks, to the Atari 5200's control stick, to the fully analog Dempa XE1AP for the Sega Mega Drive. Although these analog controllers predate the 90s, in the first part of that decade, the D-pad reigned supreme. Most games only needing a digital 8-way control scheme, not really in demand for an analog input. This was all about to change by the midpoint of the 90s though. With the rise of fully 3D games, there was a new demand for a 3D control method. Most people are familiar with Sony's analog offerings in the form of the analog controller and the later revision the DualShock controller with its twin analog sticks. Nintendo's offering was straight out the box with the N64 controller, with its central stick still a digital input, but the design is still allowing for a near 360-degree control. There is one other controller that came out during the 3D video game boom of the mid-90s, a pad that would shape and influence video game controller design for decades after its release, which was on June the 23rd, 1996, the Sega Saturn 3D controller, or the Knights controller as it is more affectionately known by Sega fanboys. The Sega Saturn 3D controller has all the functions of a standard Sega Saturn pad. D-pad, 6 buttons and the start button. The shoulder buttons are now these very familiar looking triggers, and above the D-pad is the analog stick, that uses magnet-based Hall effect sensors. Yeah, I don't know what that means either, but it sounds cool. Of course you can play any Sega Saturn game with this controller. There is a switch at the bottom of the pad that lets you switch from the analog stick to the D-pad. What we want to do here though is try out the analog stick, so we're going to need a compatible game. Luckily over the years I have acquired both Nights into Dreams and Christmas Nights Out in the Wild, disc only. And they're scratched up to whole hell, but hopefully they will hold out for one more playthrough so we can finally use it with this controller. Bearing in mind I am not the best player in the world when it comes to Nights, but this controller vastly improves upon the standard controller. Using the D-pad in this game makes it a complete struggle. The Sega Saturn 3D controller is definitely the way to play this game. Take a look at them side by side. To my right is me playing Christmas Nights on the standard Mark II controller, and the left is the 3D controller. As you can see I'm doing much better on the latter. There are lots of Sega Saturn games that are compatible with the analog stick on this controller. Here is a couple of games that I owned that I tried out with the pad. When looking at this pad's design you can see the progression coming off the back of this thing, especially next to the Dreamcast controller and the Duke original Xbox controller, and even the 360 controller. The only downside is these things ain't cheap. I got lucky and bagged this one at an auction for £8.50 plus postage. It was listed as untested so I took a gamble and it paid off. Realistically the price for the Knights game and the controller is about £35 in good condition. The controller on its own possibly up to £20. People on eBay ask crazy money for these things, so your best bet is probably to get your rucksack on and hit the charity shops. $15 for one of these pads is probably the only way to get one cheap. So there you have it, the Sega 3D controller. One of the best controllers Sega have ever made, and a true factor in the way modern day controllers are designed.
There's never been a game like Sega Saturn's Knights. Never been a game that's allowed you to fly, fluid and free, in real-time 3D. Never, not anywhere. But especially not on that other system. Simply because, with only one processor, it doesn't have the power to do it. Fly, plaything, fly. You're not ready.